Hello, good evening, and welcome to HW News English. I am Shubham Chohan. So, voting in the poll bound state of Maharashtra and Jharkhand is completed. The fate of thousands of candidates in these two states has been sealed. 7 a.m. is when voting began, and we were live with you earlier today, getting you visuals and sound bites from the ground as netas, celebrities, actors, singers, everyone stepped out to cast their vote in Maharashtra and Mumbai, and of course, the state of Jharkhand. Now, with voting done, the fate, like I said, of these candidates has been sealed, and we are now looking at result day. But before result day, we are now going to talk about the exit poll, something that has been such a big talking point in the last two elections. First, what we saw in the Lok Sabha elections in the summer of 2024, and with what we saw in Haryana and Jammu and Kashmir just a couple of months back. The accuracy, how they managed to not get the sentiment on ground right, and all of these aspects are something that has been repeatedly talked about of these exit polls. So our aim is to take you through whatever numbers are coming in, because remember, this is a time once voting is done, a lot of numbers and graphics, flashy graphics, are going to be thrown at you wherever you look around. You look on social media, you look at your television channels, and you look elsewhere, you'll just find these numbers being thrown at you one by one. Our objective here is to put whatever has happened in Maharashtra in perspective, what really is at stake, and of course, the exit poll numbers. We filtered some of these exit polls for you so that you don't have to go through each and every agency that puts out an exit poll on social media. So we'll try and get you exit poll numbers one by one from prominent agencies over the course of this conversation, and then sort of give you a poll of polls of sort of an average of what these exit polls have to say. But like I said, let's first set the premise first. Let's first understand what we are going to talk about. Of course, joining me is Shashank Nair, my colleague and managing editor of HW News, Mr. Sujit Nair. Good evening, gentlemen. And voting is over. Fate of thousands of candidates sealed. Sujit, I want to start with you first. We
Yes,
tried to speak about it yesterday, but before it was a silence period. Now the silence period is up. Voting is done. The fate of thousands of candidates sealed. A voter turnout percentage is something we'll come to after your opening comments. What?
firstly, firstly, I am not a great big fan of exit polls. Neither am I a big fan of opinion polls. Till recently, I used to believe, which is what with my advertising background, I used to believe that polls, stroke research, as we call it in advertising, and polls, as you call it in elections and politics, these give you a direction. And that's all that it gives you, a direction to where you are headed to, or who is, which direction is the poll going to go. That's what it used to give. Obviously, numbers you can't expect from either opinion poll or exit poll. Number one. Number two, exit poll also was something similar. But what I understand and what I understood as things progressed and as life progressed and politics in India changed is exit polls and opinion polls. This is my opinion. I may be wrong, I may be right. It's my opinion. I believe that exit polls and opinion polls are used for political benefits, are used to create a political narrative. So a lot of exit polls and opinion polls, are used, were made in such a way that it creates a political narrative. This we saw 2024 general elections. To my mind, like I said, this is my opinion, we saw in 2024 general elections. So therefore, I think it will not be much different this time around. Number one. Number two, you see, the voters are much more dynamic in their decision than what possibly they were before, as far as Indian politics is concerned, which means the last mile voters, as I would like to call them, which means the person who is going towards the polling booth. There is a percentage of voters who make up their mind during that last mile. So that too needs to be considered. Now, what really happens in an opinion poll and to some extent in an exit polls, these things are not captured. So somewhere down the line, with a big rider that I am not a big fan of exit polls, and I think our viewers should take exit poll with a pinch of salt. I we can start this program. Just one
Right.
more thing I want to tell you, Shubham, because a lot of people will then ask me, then why the hell are we doing this? The only reason we are doing this is because we are committed to ensure that we will cover Maharashtra elections. We are committed to ensure that, and as part of that commitment, we also wanted our viewers to see what a lot of channels, pollsters have been talking about, have predicted. That is something. This is a piece of information we are just getting in front of our viewers. We do not endorse this piece of information. We do not talk. We do not kind of necessarily agree to this piece of information. That's what I wanted to say. Yes, Shubham.
Absolutely. I think that's the rider that usually would go without saying, but now it is with we have to put enough and more emphasis on the fact that these surveys have not been done by other surveys that we will show you in the course of this conversation. These surveys have not been done by us. These surveys are indicative. We are not taking any sort of liability for the accuracy of these exit polls. I think it is that is the disclaimer. We'll start with Shashank. I will come to you with what you saw in Mumbai today. But before, I would just like to take our viewers, like I said at the beginning, what really is at stake, just to set the context right, especially as far as Maharashtra is concerned, because the state is something that has seen a lot of churn in the last 5 years. So I think it's important we set the basics, we get the basics out of the way first before we delve deeper into the different aspects of this election, because thanks to you, the subscribers, and those who contributed to our project, Shashank and I and our team were able to travel across the state of Maharashtra to speak to people, to speak to netas, to get a sense, again, to get a sense of what the picture looks like on ground. That's been the endeavor in the last couple of weeks. With that out of the way, I think let's get the first presentation up and running as to what really happened today. Okay, there you see, this is the first graph on your screen. This is on voter turnout in Maharashtra. 288 seats are up for grabs, like we said. The highest, this numbers that you are seeing on your screen is as per the last ECI data put out at 5 p.m. Highest voter turnout in Maharashtra was seen in Gadchiroli district with 69.63 percentage. The lowest was in Mumbai city, and which is what I will come to Shashank. I'll come to you on that in a moment. 49.07% is what Mumbai city saw. This data is as of 5 p.m. If it's updated, we'll of course keep you posted. Let's move further. 2024 voter turnout as of 5 p.m. in Maharashtra is 58.2%. In 2019, we saw a total voter turnout in the assembly elections of 61.5%. The day began on a rather slow note, and as the day progressed, the pace sort of picked up in terms of people lining up to cast their vote in the state of Maharashtra. The 2019 assembly election results, it's important we put these numbers up because, like I said, a lot has changed after the results of October 2019. But this is what the picture looked like in 2019 assembly elections. BJP won 105 seats, the undivided Shiv Sena 156, Congress was at 44, and the NCP was 54. Now, the Shiv Sena and the NCP were undivided at the time. The BJP and the Shiv Sena were in one alliance, and the Congress and the NCP were in the other alliance. That is what the 2019 picture looked like. Now, this Lok Sabha 2024, the recent result that we have for Maharashtra, now you can see suddenly from 4, you can see 6 boxes on your screen, because that is what has really happened. What was essentially for so many years was a 4-party fight with 2 alliances, 2 on each side. It's become a 6-party contest, 6 main parties contest with 2 alliances on each side, 3 each. So yes, Lok Sabha, we'll stay with the Lok Sabha numbers. BJP won 9 seats. They were down from about 22 they won in 2019 Lok Sabha. Shiv Sena, this is the faction of Chief Minister Eknath Shinde. They won 7 seats. The NCP of Ajit Pawar won 1 seat. So that was the Mahayuti, as they call it. When you come to Mahavikas Aghadi, Congress won 13 seats, the single largest party in the state. This was in the Lok Sabha elections of 2024. Shiv Sena UBT won 9 seats, and the NCP of Sharad Pawar won 8 seats. That was Lok Sabha. Let's move further. Let's see what we have next. Okay, these are now region-wise distribution. I'll quickly run through this because, like I said, there's a lot of data, and it's important we just put the premise, we set the premise correctly before we move forward. Shivs, this is the Marathwada region of Maharashtra. 46 assembly seats out of 288 come from here. Shiv Sena versus the battle of the 2 Shiv Senas is what you're going to see in 11 seats. BJP versus Congress in 10. BJP versus NCP of Sharad Pawar in 7. The battle of the two NCPs on 7 seats, and BJP versus Shiv Sena UBT in 3 seats. This is Marathwada region of Maharashtra. Let's move further. Mumbai and Konkan, if you put the two together, that's 75 seats. The big battle here will be of the two Shiv Senas. 27 seats is where we will see a direct fight between the two Shiv Senas. Then you move on to BJP versus Shiv Sena UBT in 17, BJP Congress in 14, NCP, the two NCPs in 5, BJP versus NCP SP in 5 seats. That was Mumbai Konkan, 75 seats. You put the two together. North Maharashtra, BJP Congress in 6, BJP Sena UBT in 5, Shiv Sena versus Shiv Sena in 5, BJP versus NCP SCP in 4, and NCP versus NCP in 3 seats. 47. Let's move forward. This is the party-wise seat distribution. If you look at the Vidhan Sabha elections, the voting for which concluded today, it was a single-phase voting. This is what the picture looked like in terms of the seats that each party in both the alliances contested. You look at Mahayuti on one side, BJP contested 152 seats, Shiv Sena of Eknath Shinde contested 80, NCP of Ajit Pawar contested 52. Look at MVA on the other side, 101 is what the Congress is contesting, 96 Shiv Sena Uddhav Thackeray, and 86 of the NCP led by Sharad Pawar. And this is, of course, the overall rundown of what the picture looks like. 288 constituencies, over 4,000 candidates, 363 women candidates, and over 1 lakh polling stations. It's a mammoth exercise to have in a state like Maharashtra. Even if you look pan-India, to conduct elections at this scale, this is what the figures look like for Maharashtra. And if you look at the electorate, 9.7 crore voters decided the fate of over 4,000 candidates today. Male are 5 crore voters, female at 4.7 crore, and others are at 6,101. If I think we have a couple of more slides left, we will just run through that. Okay, this is the Vidarbha region, 62, where there will be mainly a battle between the Congress and the BJP, and the rest of the numbers are on your screen. And what's the last slide that we have? This is Western Maharashtra, where the bulk of the focus will be on the two NCPs that will be going head to head in 20 seats. Now, if we'll come to the second slide in a moment, because I think that is something that is a different talking point in itself. But Shashank, now let's come to what you saw today in Mumbai. Mumbai, if I'm not mistaken, as per the last available figures, Mumbai city was at the bottom when it came to voter turnout in the state of Maharashtra. You traveled to some constituencies in the city. What did you see today, Shashank? Tell us.
Shubham, firstly, what's ironical is that we are seeing more voter turnout in rural areas, and in urban areas, people are not coming out. And the most complaining people are of urban population. So these people don't even have rights to complain. When you are not coming out and voting, you are not exercising your democratic right, then with what right are you complaining? If you are getting rights, then you have to perform your duties as well. So I would like to start with that. Besides, definitely low voter turnout across the city. Jogeshwari and Dindoshi, I traveled. Both the constituencies are seeing a Sena versus Sena battle. Mumbai, in total, if we see in Maharashtra, there are 35 seats where both the Shiv Senas are fighting together against each other. So in Jogeshwari, the battle is between Ravindra Vaikar, the Lok Sabha MP, who won by 49 votes, against his wife, Manisha Vaikar. Sunil Prabhu is contesting from the Shiv Sena UBT. He is two-time MLA and from the Uddhav Thackeray-led Shiv Sena. So, and
I think Dindoshi, it's Dindoshi in the Dindoshi seat. We have Sanjay Nirupam versus Sunil Prabhu
Sanjay
of the
Nirupam
two
versus
Shiv
Sunil Prabhu.
Yes. Yes. And in the Jogeshwari seat, we have Manisha Vaikar, who's the wife of Ravindra Vaikar, like Shashank correctly said, and Anant of the Shiv Sena UBT. And I just figured it on screen that just as an aside, on a lighter note, Shashank and I are twinning with blue shirts and blue blazers on your screen. So it's not color coordinated and we didn't pre-plan it in any way. But okay, Shashank, one big factor that was looked at in the Lok Sabha was the fact that urban apathy was discussed a lot. The fact that voting took place on a Monday and a lot of voters in the city treated it like a vacation, and they took an extended weekend and they went. The Election Commission of India emphasized on the fact that voters need to and they should come out and vote. There were complaints of inadequate arrangements in some polling stations in the Lok Sabha because of the heat, not enough queues for senior citizens. What did you see this time? Was the picture different when you visited polling stations in Mumbai today?
Absolutely, Shubham. The arrangements were proper. There were different lines for senior citizens, but because there was a lower turnout, so there were no queues. So that was not a problem. Water facilities was there. There were wheelchair facilities for specially abled and aged people. So that was something which was taken care of, and I think Election Commission has learned its lesson.
Right. Sujit, what I want to understand it, because this is the Maharashtra election especially has been something that we've been discussing on a daily basis in the newsroom. All of us, besides traveling, we've been speaking to people, analysts, journalists, leaders, voters, everyone. If not one, what are your three biggest takeaways in the last 20, 30 days of you speaking to various stakeholders in the state of Maharashtra? If you could list down, if not one, three major takeaways that you think that could possibly decide, rather that could play a pivotal role in the Maharashtra Assembly elections.
You see, I have never seen such a confusion as far as voting is concerned amongst voters in my entire career. I mean, a lot of people, tremendous amount of there were people were unsure. They were not very clear whether who to vote. There is a lot of uncertainty. So the first thing I would say is uncertainty. This time around, absolutely uncertain. Second, this time around, voters are also thinking about the fact as to what is going to happen post poll. You see, till quite recently, we thought about pre-poll alliances. We said, okay, BJP and Shiv Sena are together, so vote for them, or Congress and NCP are together, so vote for them, and a voter would just go with whatever is kept in front of him or her and vote. So that was what used to happen before. Today it is not like that. Today a voter thinks that, listen, if I vote for this particular party, would this particular party remain together even after the polls, or are they going to jump parties? Are they going to go to the other side? So that's unfortunate, very unfortunate, but that is a fact. So that is my point number two. Tremendous amount of uncertainty. The third point that I wanted to kind of make is, this time around, there was no clear direction. There was no understanding about uh, who is going to win and who is not. Because I'll tell you what I mean by that. You see, uh, ideologies makes you a voter. I mean, makes you give vote to a particular political party. It is based on their ideology and their work. Correct. That's what helps you to decide which party you should vote for. Now look at the khichdi in Maharashtra politics. There are two NCPs. There are two Shiv Senas. Maharashtra was ruled by Shiv Sena, NCP and Congress, which is now the Mahavikas Agadi. They were ruled by NCP, Shiv Sena and Congress. So people have seen their rule. Then came Bharatiya Janata Party, broke Shiv Sena and broke NCP, and then there was another Bharatiya Janata Party, Shiv Sena, NCP ruling the other side. Now you decide. What is the voter going to think? Who is the voter going to vote? That Shiv Sena or this Shiv Sena? That NCP or this NCP? So all of a sudden there is a hell of a lot of confusion in Maharashtra. I'll give you an example. In Baramati, a lot of people had told us. I don't know if Shashank will agree to me because he is the Baramati man. But a lot of people had told us that for Lok Sabha, we will vote for Sharad Pawar, and for Vidhan Sabha, we will vote for Ajit Pawar. What kind of concept is this? Why? It's as if you're handing over votes like some gifts. So yeah, I mean, this election was very, very strange, very different, and like I said, huge amount of uncertainty, huge amount of confusion, and one of the most unique elections in this country. One of the most unique elections in this country post independence is what I would say.
Unique would be an understatement. But the point that you talked about, there are two NCPs and two Shiv Senas. I have some stats again to share with our viewers to put this fight into context. Two regional state-based parties that were split right down the middle in the course of the last 2.5 years. If you can play the second presentation that we had on the two NCPs and the two Shiv Senas. Look at this. This is the Sena battle, the first time the two Shiv Senas fought against each other. The left, the bow and arrow symbol that you see is with Eknath Shinde, the chief minister and part of the Mahayuti. On the right is the mashal symbol, the torch symbol that is of Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray. In the Lok Sabha, there were 13 seats, 13 seats where the two Shiv Senas fought against each other. 7 of those were won by the Shiv Sena of Eknath Shinde. 6 of them were won by Uddhav Thackeray. Now let's move forward. In the assembly this time, there are 49 such contests where the two Shiv Senas are going to go head to head. What the result will be, we'll get to know, of course, on the 23rd of November. Let's move on to the NCP. 2 seats where you saw a direct sort of fight. In fact, we'll just correct the figure if I believe we've got it slightly wrong, but we'll correct it if you look at the NCP of the two Pawars, Ajit Pawar and Sharad Pawar. Baramati was where you saw a contest, much talked about high-profile contest. Shashank too visited Baramati to discuss the Supriya Sule versus Sunetra Pawar battle. There, Supriya Sule won, and Beed was another seat where the two. I think Beed was where Bajrang Bappa Sonawane of the NCP of Sharad Pawar won. Head-to-head in the assembly, there, in fact, the clear winner in the NCP's case was Sharad Pawar. He won 8 out of total 10 seats, and he comprehensively defeated all the head-to-head fights that he had against Ajit Pawar. In the assembly, there are 38 such seats where the two NCPs will go head to head. We'll take out that number because that number what we just saw is slightly complete, but you get the overall picture. In the Lok Sabha, in the case of the Shiv Sena, like Sujit pointed out, there are 2 Shiv Senas, 2 NCPs. In the Shiv Sena's case, the voter was also really split. You saw 7 seats here, 6 really, nothing to separate the two sides, and that is what will make, among the several factors, this is what will make the Maharashtra Assembly elections an exciting one, a one to watch out for in terms of the battle of who the real Shiv Sena is, who the real NCP is. So what I want to understand from you is, we've talked a lot about the symbols. We've talked about Mashal, we've talked about Dhanush Ban, which was the original undivided Shiv Sena symbol. We talked about the Ghadial, the clock symbol, which was again of the undivided NCP that went with Ajit Pawar. And now you have the man blowing the tutari symbol, which is of Mr. Sharad Pawar. When a consumer or a voter in this case, how big or small does a symbol make? Do voters in India look at the symbol? Does it take time to register a new symbol? Or do you say that, okay, I'm siding with Sharad Pawar, so no matter what is the symbol, I'm going with Sharad Pawar? How does a voter psyche, in your experience, work when you have such a situation where both parties claim to be the original faction, but there are 2 different symbols, and the name of the candidate is what you see on the EVM? How big or small does that? How big or small difference does that make in your opinion?
Big time, because symbols are what people go by. A symbol and the name are what people go by. So in Lok Sabha, there were a lot of seats where there was huge amount of confusion between, especially the Shiva Sena and the NCP, because a lot of people went and voted for the Dhanush Ban or the bow and arrow, thinking it was Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray, and a lot of people voted for the clock, thinking that it was Sharad Pawar. So there was confusion. But did that make much of a difference? I don't think it made much of a difference in terms of people losing because of that and all that didn't happen, is what I believe. Percentage of vote, yes, there must have been some difference. That being said, this time around, Shubham, it is very clear that people were absolutely clear about Mashal being, that is the torch, being Shiva Sena, and the tutari, as I call it, that is that
man blowing the trumpet. Man blowing the tutari.
Man with the tutari. I was trying to kind of anglicize what is tutari. Tutari in English means what? I mean, what?
Man blowing a trumpet. No, that's
trumpet.
Not a trumpet.
It's not a trumpet. Let's for the discussion, let's call it a trumpet. So, man with a trumpet, the tutari. People were very clear it is NCP. So that's this time around. I think people were very clear about the symbols. And Shubham, just to point out the figure that you gave last slide, which is 2 versus 0. That is Sharad Pawar versus Ajit Pawar. The figure was right. Sharad Pawar won both the seats
Okay,
which they
okay, okay.
contested with Ajit Pawar. He won both the seats.
He won both the
Ajit
seats, right?
Pawar, Thackeray won separately. Ajit Pawar just won one Lok Sabha seat, which was separate.
Right, right,
So
right,
that
right.
figure
So
was
that was the
right.
correct
That
figure.
was yeah. There was
Okay.
nothing wrong in that figure.
Okay, now before I go to the first, okay, Manu John has commented saying Tutari's trumpet. Thank you. There you go, man blowing a trumpet. Now, before we show the
No,
first exit poll
it's
agency,
not a trumpet, Manu. It's not a trumpet.
okay,
That's
it's not a
yeah. It's
trumpet.
something else. There's a name
Tutari
to it.
ready to see. Yeah, there's a name to
Yeah,
it.
there's a
Maybe
name to it.
finding this from comments can
I
find out.
will I will search for
But you
that
know, you
anglicized
cannot
name.
talk of NCP and not involve Shashank in this discussion. Shashank, you
Yeah.
traveled. Shashank, you traveled to a lot of pockets in Maharashtra where you see the battle of the two Shiv Sena, the two NCPs playing out. What did you see on ground? Do you agree with Sujit with his assessment in terms of the symbol? Has that message been drilled home that this through Tutari, man blowing a Tutari, Sharad Pawar, and Ghadial is of Ajit Pawar? Was that message put across? Was it very clear in terms of the voters that you spoke to in pockets that were the NCP belt or the seats dominated by the two NCPs?
Definitely, one thing which I saw in February 2024 also, and during this visit also, during Vidhan Sabha elections also, is that people are very clear. There is a tacit understanding among the ground level supporters that in Vidhan Sabha, they are, like Sujit rightly said, that in Vidhan Sabha it is Dada, that is Ajit Pawar, and in Lok Sabha it is Tai. And as far as this symbol going across and percolating among the people, I think people like how did people like Vishal Patil win then? Because he's an independent candidate. It's still that percolated. Because in urban India, these things in rural India, I think these things doesn't really matter, because if you see the crowd in Sharad Pawar's rallies, so they are people who believe in door-to-door campaigning and sabha of 15 people, 20 people, then community leaders influencing. I think these things matter in rural India more, and as far as Western Maharashtra is concerned. So I think symbol change was not much of a concern for Sharad Pawar, because he has fought on Samajwadi Congress symbol also, he has fought on Congress symbol also, NCP clock symbol, and this is the fourth symbol. So I think this is
Right.
not new to Sharad Pawar.
Right, the grand old man of Maharashtra politics, as we call it. Okay, I think we have the first agency, first exit poll agency ready for you on the state of Maharashtra. We'll quickly pull up the numbers. Like I said, there are a lot of agencies. We've tried and filtered it down, and of course, the rider still applies. That these surveys haven't been done by us. We do not claim any responsibility for their accuracy. So, if we have the first agency ready for the state of Maharashtra. If we can have that, do we have that on the screen? Okay, okay, we don't have it so far, but we have Neelu Vyas joining us, senior journalist. We'll get the numbers after that. We have Neelu ma'am joining us, senior journalist, and of course you must have seen her shows, Truth Be Told, on our channel. Good evening, ma'am. How are you? And what does the picture look like?
Hi, Nilu. Hi, Nilu.
Hi, Keith. So good to see you, all of you together.
Same here.
Likewise.
Likewise.
Yeah,
Ma'am,
Shubham.
before we show up the numbers, voting done. Mumbai city, the where the big city where all the stars, the netas vote. Low voter turnout. What are your first impressions of what you saw today, and of course the campaign in the last 20 days in the state of Maharashtra?
Uh, we were expecting a higher voter turnout, but then again, I think this urban apathy is very, very evident where people have not come out and voted. But I was speaking to a few people in the morning that apparently BJP this time has spent money on people not coming out of their homes. This was something very surprising. I was talking to a few people and people on the ground who said that this time, BJP has been working on a 10,000 per vote campaign. These are the reports which are coming in, and if they have invested this kind of a money, they have also invested a portion of the money on people not coming out of their homes and voting. So I really don't know what to say, and but this urban apathy is very evident, and in the last elections also this was a similar complaint that people are not coming out and voting. And I'm really not understanding that, is there no hunger for change in the people? People talk about democracy, people talk about elections, but they are not willing to come out and vote. This really looks like an anomaly when you are living in a democratic nation where people don't want to come out and vote. So this is something which needs to be addressed, even though election commission keeps claiming that we've we've run campaigns on encouraging people to come out and vote. But I think all that is just not working on the minds of the people. And but what are the factors why people are not coming out and voting is really something to be deciphered and introspected very well. But it's really not a good sign, surely.
Right. I think the money power bit is what ma'am just talked about, is something that we will come to, because we've seen a lot of it, especially in the last 24 hours, with top BJP leaders, being accused of carrying cash around, bribing voters, and all of that. But I think now we have the numbers, the first exit polls, if we can play them for the state of Maharashtra. This is done by Dainik Bhaskar. There you see Mahayuti 125 to 140, MVA 135 to 150, others 20 to 25. And of course, don't forget to read the rider at the bottom that you can see. Surveys are indicative. We're not taking any responsibility. But MVA, a win for MVA with a very slim margin. Again, a very cut-to-cut fight, in fact. And if you look at the upper limits for the MVA and the Mahayuti, 150 to 140, and others 25. Sujit, you want to go first on what you think? I think one thing that we all sort of came to the conclusion on was the fact that it's going to be a tough fight. First exit poll says MVA has a slight edge. Your comments?
Am I supposed to answer?
Yes.
Are you asking? Okay, cool. So yeah, of course, good. This is what we expected. Honestly, whatever little survey we did, whatever little whatever extensive travel that we did, I guess this is what we expected. We were expecting a tough fight, absolutely tough fight, with a slight edge for Maha Vikas Aghadi, which is what Dainik Bhaskar also is showing. So to a major extent, this is what I think is the direction we saw too. But again, like Shubham says, and like we all said, and I'm sure Neelu will agree, exit poll is something that let us not put our any hopes, or let us not, you should take it with a pinch of salt, because, it could go anyways. But yeah, I mean, this, to that extent, I think this is what even we thought when we went on ground, Shubham.
Right. I think in the Lok Sabha as well, when we did the exit polls, I gave a rider, and then we saw what happened on the 4th of June. And for Haryana as well, we gave a rider, and we saw what happened on result day. This time I'll multiply it into 10, and I'll keep reiterating for our audience, because a lot of people point out. Yes, Sujit.
I was just saying, Neelu, when we were doing the exit poll in during the Lok Sabha, I remember Chennai happened. And the exit poll showed 4 seats in Chennai, and I was in Chennai. So I knew that this is not really happening. But then the fact is, and we had a debate, I guess we had some guests too. A lot of them quite sure that Chennai is going to be the new BJP bastion. The fact remains that, it was just not real. It was just not real. And it actually mirrored what the great strategist Mr. Prashant Kishore said. So it was as if the people wrote down what he said and actually published it. So I remember Chennai. I just said, I was just remembering that when spoke about
Tamil Nadu. Yes, Annamalai and Tamil Nadu. The fact that Annamalai could win. But again, so we've been saying take it with a pinch of salt. I want to come to the money part. Neelu ma'am, you mentioned about the fact you spoke to people and the feedback that you were getting. We just saw what happened yesterday on the outskirts of Mumbai, where none other than the General Secretary of the Bharatiya Janata Party, Vinod Tawde, is part of a controversy. It's called Cash for Votes Rao. That is how it's being labeled. I told this to Sujit as well. We had a chat, we had a live session on this, and they said it exposes a open and a very dirty secret of Indian politics about the use of money power. What do you make of what you saw yesterday with regards to Vinod Tawde and how that entire drama played out in Mumbai?
Shubham, this is a brazen play of money. We must admit the fact that this is the overshadowing, the basis of Indian elections. That money, you need bags of money to win elections, and that's really unfortunate. But if you talk about specifically what happened yesterday, if you have a BJP national secretary who's caught red handed with a bag full of notes, or whatever the reason, and of course the explanation also which he gave, that he was trying to give directions to the people and on how to get the EVM sealed and all, this was something which everybody would take it with a pinch of salt. BJP is seen as an election machinery, and for a BJP leader to say that we were ensuring that everything goes right, and everybody knows that the election commission is by their side, the entire machinery on the ground is by their side. So there's actually nothing to fear for the BJP. And if Vinod Tawde makes a statement like that, then one would really think as to what has really gone wrong. But what this really has exposed is the deep rot within Maharashtra, which was very, very visible. And nobody had expected that it's going to happen just one day before the polling. So it was really unfortunate. And the most unfortunate part, that by late evening you saw a counter scam which was being played out. That was the bitcoin fraud which was being talked about, that there was an audio clip of Supriya Sule and Nana Patole. But, I was watching the channels this afternoon, and in fact, I think it was India Today, which got a fact check done. I think they broke that news in the evening sometimes, and they used that deep fakeometer and various other artificial intelligence tools, which showed that audio was fake. So, which means that they were just trying to dilute the entire issue. And let me be very honest that, some of the BJP leaders off the record, they said that, this was a game which was being played out within the BJP. And I'm going to be very candid and honest about it, that this was a game to phase out Vinod Tawde, because Vinod Tawde's name was seen as a front runner for the post of the BJP president. He was seen as the man meant for the hot seat, that is the chief minister's post. And there were certain forces within the BJP who were really wanting to phase out Vinod Tawde to diminish his chances, so that he doesn't come to the forefront. So this also could be that play. And now I fully believe that, of course, it has done two things. One, the dirty politics which is playing out within the BJP. All this while you saw, all the legacy media and the conventional media channels just reporting about factionalism and, the gudbazi which they say within the Congress camp. Now, how about the gudbazi and the factionalism within BJP? It's just playing out so openly. So there are dirty forces within the BJP who are pulling down their own leaders, pulling down their own national secretary. And of course, the big play of money which everyone saw. It reminded everyone of those days when Bangaru Lakshman actually was caught on tape, and everybody saw that. So it's a deep rot, and it also gives you a sense as to how much money BJP has earned, and people are questioning those sources. Look at the kind of comments which came yesterday, what Rahul Gandhi said, what various other leaders from the opposition said, and the kind of reactions everybody was aghast. Everybody was stunned, and people knew about it, but this particular episode of Vinod Tawde actually gave a seal, gave a stamp to what was being just conjectured and said all this while on the Maharashtra election. So it's really, really unfortunate. But BJP, I think, is badly exposed with this episode totally. Now, how much they can capitalize in terms of votes, how much will it translate into votes, I really don't know, because it has just come one day before. And how much money would they have distributed, in the earlier days and previously, how much money they have already used? I think this needs to be investigated somewhere. And who's going to do that job? I really have no idea as of now. because election commission doesn't seem to be taking too much of action, but just to put up a facade, they've lodged an FIR, but everybody knows as to what's going to happen really in that case.
Right. I think the visuals that we saw yesterday, Sujit, you and I were talking, and I asked you about the election. You said, no, we can't talk about it because it's silence period. And as it turned out, pretty evidently, everyone except for us was out there violating the silence period, including the netas themselves. You pick up the newspapers and for our viewers, the newspapers, I'm not sure about other editions. The newspaper editions in Mumbai and Thane that came, 4 out of 5 dailies have a front page ad for the Mahayuti, and you see this cash exchange happening, and you see people trying to, of course, there was a late night press conference by the BJP at about 10 p.m. where the clips that Niluma mentioned about Supriya Sule and Nana Patole, and Boom Live, in fact, did a fact check in the afternoon where they said that this was AI deepfake. Someone was trying to take a press conference but couldn't take because of the rules, and then gave a media bite. And what we picked up last on that matter, on the Vinod Tawade matter, was that 10 lakh rupees, about 10 lakh rupees was recovered. Who was the actual owner of that money? Who was distributing to whom? I think those answers, we don't have any sort of clue at the moment on that, and we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But that brings me to another point, Shashank. The Pannas Khoke jibe was very evident once Eknath Shinde became the chief minister. You talk to any UBT leader off record, and even on record, in fact, they were very blatant about the fact Pannas Khoke ekdam okay. Now, it's since then that this Khoke Sarkar jibe has been used and has been used against the chief minister of Maharashtra, Eknath Shinde. When you traveled on ground, when you spoke to voters, especially in those seats when it came to Sena-dominated seats, does that Khoke factor still come to haunt CM Shinde in a way? Or because, like the BJP and the Mahayuti has been advocating the Ladli Behen, the infrastructure projects, their impetus has been infrastructure projects. Do you see that message overpowering or overshadowing the Khoke factor that we have been seeing in Maharashtra politics, especially in the last 2.5 years, in your interaction with voters, Shashank?
Shubham, Khoke, Pannas Khoke Ekdam Okay is the tagline that was used so that it gets something. If there is a rhetoric, then it gets percolated very fast. If there's something, it is a typical Thackeray slang. So if there is something of that sort that is interesting to hear, then it gets percolated very easily. So that is one thing. Besides that, the Gaddari thing, that they betrayed Balasaheb Thackeray and Uddhav Thackeray, those people who gave them everything, starting from corporator to mantri level, to minister level. So that anger is there to a great extent, that because the ground level Shiv Sainik is still with Uddhav Thackeray and the Thackeray family, and clearly the Thackeray brand is one thing which I realized. The Thackeray brand is much bigger than the Shiv Sena brand. So Pannas Khoke Ekdam Okay for social media and to kind of spread the message, and Gaddari is a sentiment that they have betrayed, they are traitors. That is something I think which people have taken very, very seriously.
I have seen Sujit raise his hand 3 times.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Sujit. I will not
here I will not agree to Shashank on this one, is because direct fights between Uddhav Thackeray Sena and Eknath Shinde Sena. Eknath Shinde Sena did better than Uddhav Thackeray Sena. If Uddhav Thackeray, the Thackeray name was more dominant than Shiv Sena itself, then Uddhav Thackeray would have won. So that doesn't add up. So the fact remains that end of the day, Balasaheb Thackeray was an icon, no doubt about it. But Uddhav Thackeray has that percolated down to Uddhav Thackeray? Well, to a lot of extent, yes, but not 100%, because even today, Shubham, you stay in Thane. Even today, do you think that even if Aditya Thackeray would have stood against Eknath Shinde, do you think Aditya Thackeray would have won?
Absolutely not.
Correct. So that's the point I'm saying. So while Shashank, the point is, yes, Thackeray name is still very dominant. It still resonates with Maharashtra voters. But the fact remains that Shiv Sena has moved on. And Shinde has done a fantastic job with Shiv Sena. Let's face facts. I mean, you may like him or dislike him, that's a different issue. But the fact is, he has done a fantastic job with Shiv Sena, is what I would believe. That's what I
I
wanted
think
to say.
one of the stories, and I want you, Neelu ma'am, to come in on this. One of the stories of this election in the last, especially 2.5 years, has been the graph of Eknath Shinde. Yes, I've been staying in Thane, so I've seen Eknath Shinde even before he became chief minister. He's handling the urban development ministry in the state since 2014. He's known to be someone who's passionate about infrastructure projects, and from what was touted as a puppet CM, about the fact that he's there at the behest of the BJP, and the BJP can really pull the strings and take him in whichever direction. From there to someone who bargained for about 15 odd Lok Sabha seats with the BJP high command. From there to now to this, where you are seeing, we've seen in Maharashtra constantly where Eknath Shinde has sort of become a leader of his own, is cemented his own place in the Mahayuti. And we, in fact, the visuals you're seeing on the screen is we managed to speak to him on campaign trail. This was in Kopri, Panchpakadi. But Neelu ma'am, how do BJP leaders in the national capital see Eknath Shinde from a puppet CM, he was being touted as a puppet CM, to now possibly a threat to the BJP's prospect as far as the chief minister's post is concerned? How do BJP leaders see this role of Eknath Shinde in the last 2.5 years?
As far as Shinde is concerned, in the BJP circle, there's a lot of insecurity. I'm going to be telling you very honestly that, BJP leaders are insecure of him. And that is why there has been a constant effort to pull him down from all sides. But the manner in which Shinde has conducted himself, and he's proven himself in a way, as what you are just explaining, is actually the source of his strength is BJP's insecurity. BJP knows it very well that if they give him an inch, so he will capitalize on that. So it's BJP leaders are very, very insecure, but one wouldn't be surprised if he really pulls off very, very well. And because the fight is neck and neck, and who knows, Shinde's Shiv Sena might really do well. So BJP leaders are quite insecure, but the overall image of Eknath Shinde, he may be seen as a good administrator, as a CM who's proven himself, but still he's seen in the eyes of the public. I think as far as the public sentiment is concerned, people wouldn't judge him by by his image as an administrator. He would be judged by the people more as a person who's split the Shiv Sena, who's split the Balasaheb Thackeray's legacy. I think the common man would really view Eknath Shinde. It doesn't make any sense, of course, his performance will be seen, how he was as a CM, how he performed as an administrator. But ultimately, when it comes down to voting, the people in Maharashtra, because the overshadowing sentiment is about the Maratha pride, about the Shivaji idol, and all those issues which really came up. So, if you look at the issues from that prism, then he would be seen not as somebody who's going to be very, very healthy for the Maratha pride. And of course, he would be seen as someone who has split the party apart, who split the Maratha pride. So I don't think, there'll be a very positive feedback. But yes, he's tried to evolve his image. And that, as I said, is purely because of BJP's insecurity, and he knows it very well. He's seen so many allies being demolished by the BJP, so he knows how to keep his roots firmly to the ground, and this is exactly what he has said. What he has shown.
Right. In fact, when you talk about Maratha pride, there was the whole Maratha reservation agitation. For our viewers, there was Maratha reservation agitation going on in parts of Maharashtra, particularly Marathwada, where I, in fact, visited Antarvali Sarati. Manoj Jarange Patil, the activist who was spearheading this, we managed to speak to him and also some people in that village. Eknath Shinde notably comes from the Maratha community, and he is a Maratha leader. And the one note that you could see with regards to Manoj Jarange Patil and the fact that the Marathas want reservation was that they were acutely going after Devendra Fadnavis. They were gunning after Devendra Fadnavis, not so much. In fact, even in the interview that I had with Manoj Jarange Patil, he was somewhere down the line going soft on Eknath Shinde because he himself comes from the Maratha community and was going all guns blazing at Deputy Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis. That will also be an interesting aspect to watch out for. One final word before I think we also have Jharkhand. Let's not forget there's Jharkhand as well. Amidst all the hustle and
Yes.
bustle of Maharashtra, and because being the bigger state, bigger political activities of in whichever way you put it. On Eknath Shinde, I think it has become evidently clear that Eknath Shinde has tried to, in a big way, he's tried to shed that tag of the Gaddar and the Panna's Koke, and he's tried to project himself as an infrastructure man. Sujit, you talked about Thane, and I think it's no bones about the fact that when you look at Thane, Navi Mumbai, Palghar, he commands a lot of. He has a stronghold there, and it is his name, Eknath Bhai, as they call him there. That factor will be very critical because given the close fight that we're anticipating, we will see in such a close fight, each seat counts. And it'll be very interesting to see how things pan out in the state of Maharashtra. But for a second, let's just go to Jharkhand.
Shubham,
Let's
Shubham,
yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
one point I wanted to make.
Ah,
See, I agree to Nilu. I don't think he's seen as an infrastructure man. I don't think he's seen as an infrastructure man. See, he's seen as a common man's representative. He's seen
Yes.
as a person who is absolutely accessible. He's seen as a very common person, and he's popular in the area that he grew up in. Now, the point is that is all fair, but I really don't see him as a infrastructure man. Then who are you comparing him with? You're comparing him with Gadkari. Do
Nitin
you
Gadkari.
think he's compared to Nitin Gadkari? So that,
No, the,
Shubham, I don't necessarily agree. I agree to completely. He's
yeah.
popular, no doubt, but not as infrastructure man or not as a great administrator. Nothing of that sort.
Right.
No,
I
no.
think that
What
there's yes, go ahead,
Right.
ma'am. Go ahead.
No, what Sujit is saying is completely right because initially when he assumed and the post of the chief minister, when he became the chief minister, he knew what kind of baggage he had. So he did all these administrative feats, to win the hearts of the people. But that was not sufficient for him to come out of that image where he broke a party, where he broke a legacy, where he broke a family. So no matter what he does, I think people in Maharashtra will still see him as the villain of Maharashtra politics, especially when it comes to Balasaheb Thackeray, because he's seen as one of the icons of Maharashtrian politics. So people wouldn't judge him so generously, and of course, never as an infrastructure man. It's just that one or two things he's done. His PR machinery has ensured that he gets to win some brownie points. That's all. But he would still be seen, and I repeatedly say that he would be seen more as a villain rather than as a political performer.
Absolutely, I think there are comparing him to someone like a Gadkari is apples and oranges at this point. I think that the what I was really trying to put the point across is the fact that an attempt has been made with the infrastructure projects that you saw, and the fact that he was like
Yeah.
Sujit pointed out rightly, that he's trying to project himself as the common man with his 24/7 accessibility even at the chief minister's residence. Sujit, you want to make a point, or should we move on to Jharkhand?
Please, let's move on to Jharkhand.
Okay, let's move on to Jharkhand. Let's see which agency do we have from Jharkhand exit poll. Okay, Access My India, known to be one of the most credible until very recently. Access My India, 81 seats is what Jharkhand has, and NDA 17 to 27. And for the India Alliance, which is essentially the Jharkhand Mukti Morcha of Hemant Soren and the Congress, 49 to 59. So, and others, of course, 1 to 6. So if Access My India as Access My India is showing, India Alliance, that's JMM and Congress, primarily the JMM of Hemant Soren, seems to be one-way traffic as per this exit poll of Access My India. Please take it with a pinch of salt. And on that note, yes, Neelu ma'am, what do you think of these numbers, 49 to 59?
See, I mean, I'm still going to say that let's not add too much of stock to these exit polls. And after having burned the fingers in during the 2024 elections, after what we've seen in Haryana, is very, very difficult. And what I said, you remember last time when we were live during the last elections, and I said, and I repeated again, that this exit poll business should be just this shop should be completely shut. We are all forced to sit here and discuss on a live, that we are just forced to do it because every other player is doing it. But what is the point in an exit poll where you don't know the methodology, when you don't know the correct sample size? They are giving you a compounded figure, like this is what NDA is getting, this is what MVA is getting, but are they giving you a breakup? Are they talking about the money factor which spins around every exit poll survey? We all know that it's one of the dark underbellies of the exit world bazaar. I mean, exit polls bazaar. It's almost like a bazaar. Now look at the agencies, number of agencies. I was just looking at this Electoral Edge, Poll Diary. Have you ever heard of organizations like which have conducted exit poll surveys? So I really would take it with a pinch of salt. But yes, as far as my access is concerned, Pradeep Gupta's tears, everybody remembers what
And
happened to.
us.
Yes, and now he's
Right.
conducting his own thing. So, of course, it'll be good news for the India Alliance if JMM and Congress Alliance gets those number of seats. But to be honest, and what I have spoken and what I've sensed from the ground in Jharkhand, the battle there is tough. It's not going to be very easy for Hemant Soren and Kalpana Soren, though they put up a brave fight. They talked about a lot of issues, but I think Champai Soren is going to be the spinner over there because in the Santhal Pargana region, he's trying to change a lot of things. And the sense which I'm getting, I mean, I didn't travel to Jharkhand, but I spoke to a lot of people. I did a lot of programs. But everyone in Jharkhand is saying that if Champai Soren is able to spin about 5 to 6 seats from the Kolhan region, that's going to be really the turning point, and BJP might, win the election. So still, I mean, one cannot stick the neck out and say that who's really going to win Jharkhand. But I think it looks like a tough battle. And Congress, it seems, hasn't done very well as far as the campaign is concerned. Say, for example, I was following a few rallies of Kalpana Soren and Hemant Soren. They put up a united fight. They spoke about Rahul Gandhi. They spoke about Mallikarjun Kharge. But as far as the Congress campaigns were concerned, they did not put up that kind of a strong fight. So maybe I don't know if Congress is really going to be proving as a party which is going to pull down India Alliance. Is going to be a litmus test. But without giving any credence to these exit polls, I think the battle in Jharkhand is really going to be tough, and the tribal voters will hold the key, which are being allured a lot by Champai Soren. And and I still feel that this entire bit on mati, roti, beti, katenge to batenge, this narrative I don't think will be working too much in Jharkhand. So and of course the infiltrators bit, that the infiltrators from Bangladesh have come in, and they're, I mean, just maybe a few pockets it would affect, but not entirely. So it's going to be a tough fight. And as I said earlier, I'm not going to give any weight to these exit polls. But if I access my India, what they say, it's really a happy news for India Alliance. Shubham.
Right. I remember Haryana election results not too long ago, where exit polls said one-way traffic, lock, stock, barrel, done and dusted for the Congress. On result day, you see at 9 a.m. it's going in favor of the Congress, and by 11 p.m., 11 a.m., 12 p.m., a lot of people had egg on their face because that's how sharply the
But
election
the
results in
only
Haryana had
difference, I think Sujit will also agree with me, but the only difference what you see this time, if you look at all the exit polls, I was just making a list of it, People's Pulse, Mattress, PMark, News 24, they are trying to border, on caution, bordering on caution, that, most, like few of them, they are not sticking their neck out like last time. So maybe they are cautious and they are scared that, they might get it wrong. So, which is why they are just bordering on both sides. Like Mattress is giving you 150 to 170. And then Congress and in Maharashtra, that's 110 to 130. Then similarly, PMark has given 137 to 157, and then 126 to 146. So they are playing it safe so that they don't get it right. So basically, as I said, that I don't know why these exit polls are being conducted. And if you remember Chief Election Commissioner Rajiv Kumar's press conference, what made him say that? But he said that it adds a distortion, and a distorted narrative comes out. But I think it's high time. I don't know what Sujit has wants to say on this exit polls, but I simply feel that we should just shut it down. But there are various factors. The markets revolve around it, the media industry starts revolving around it, and then we are also forced to do it. So I mean, but look at the factors. I mean, we don't talk about the factors. We just come up with a graphic plate and say that, look, this is the exit poll, this is what the organization has to say, XYZ is saying this, ABC is saying this. But then the methodology and why a compounded figure. My point is that give a breakup of the party, come up with a lot of specifics that will add credibility. I mean, as far as they just give a compounded figure, I mean, how credible are these exit polls? We're just discussing it like any other, I think, the legacy media channel.
Absolutely. And the range. Yes, sorry. So go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I completely agree to Neelu. This is what I had started this entire program with, actually, Neelu, what you just said. There is absolutely no credibility. And the fact is, what's changed is, you see, opinion poll and exit poll are now used as a communication tool. So they form the holistic narrative. So now you can actually create the exit poll to form a narrative, and that narrative can be put up, and it helps you. Opinion polls help you to get voters. Exit poll helps you to get independent candidates. Exit polls help you to get helps you horse trading. So yeah, I mean, absolutely, I agree, and there is absolutely no methodology, and India never asked for methodology. That's the sad part of the story. You see, when we do research in advertising, we ask for a lot of methodology. In fact, we spend more time in the rigor, in methodology, than in actual research. The thing is, here there is no methodology. Whether you're going to which part of the market, which part of the constituency, whether it's a dominant constituency, whether it's in like Ganesh used to say, Shubham, it's a single Subedar constituency, yes. Double Subedar constituency, where there's one single leader and always that leader wins, and you go there and you make your opinion from there. So yeah, absolutely. I completely agree to you, Neelu. And that's exactly what we started this program with, Shubham.
Science is like, you mentioned about Mr. Ganesh Jagtap, who we had a couple of conversations with him, where he described in an elaborate fashion how he categorized seats, and like Neelu pointed out rightly, that the methodology and the party-wise breakup is something that is missing. Not enough questions are asked on what basis. All we see are either dance moves on television channels or tears on result day, depending on which side things pan.
What is most unfortunate that what was science has been now reduced to an economic gimmickry. That there are the media industry is revolving around a fake the entire narrative which they put up through exit polls. The market revolves around it, and everything is so virtual about it. We also are discussing about something. We are just few hours away from the exact results, which will be clear. But even then, we are doing it, and everybody is doing it. And look, I mean, how America got it wrong. Forget all other countries. If America has got their exit polls wrong, I mean, where are we? I really don't know. We don't have any science, and science, anyways, is not being encouraged at all by the Modi government. So forget the science out of it. Science is completely out of the exit poll basket, I believe.
Absolutely, yeah. I think yes. Anyone want to say? Okay, I'll go forward. We'll try and load up any more numbers we have for Maharashtra, because we've dissed exit polls, and rightly so, given with what we saw. If we have any other numbers, we'll of course put it up. But Shashank, I want to come to you. You traveled extensively, and again, a small thank you to our subscribers who helped us raise funds to cover Maharashtra elections, go to Nook and Corner, and get what the story is. Shashank, you visited Lasalgaon, where you saw onion farmers. You met and interacted with onion farmers. What was the scenario then? Because in the Lok Sabha, it was said that it was widely believed that the farmers of Maharashtra are angry with the Bharatiya Janata Party. Was that sentiment, was that something that you saw this time around as well when you traveled?
See, Lasalgaon is again a single Subedar constituency where Chhagan Bhujbal is leading that constituency since 1999. So now that the government has done the course correction, they have now given the right prices. They are getting, the onion farmers are getting the right prices for their produce. So at the moment, they are very much satisfied what they are getting. They're getting around 4,000 to 5,000 rupees per quintal. but they are also worried that once this government is repeated, then the export ban can once again come to place. So that is one thing. Besides, I think Maratha factor has somewhat played out over there, because Chhagan Bhujbal was one leader from the OBC community who openly opposed Manoj Zarange Patil's demands of including the Maratha community into the OBC category. So that is there. Besides, I did not see any kind of anger, or they wanted soya bean farmers. Definitely, I heard from onion farmers that soya bean farmers are unhappy, but onion farmers per se, I did not see any anger or agitated.
Right. Sarit, I want to come to you because I know agriculture is something that you're really passionate about. I visited Amravati, where we spoke to families who lost their members to family suicide. Farmer suicides is something that is a big issue and a very saddening and upsetting issue. I traveled to Amravati, which is part of the Vidarbha region, about 2 hours away from Nagpur. We spoke to families who just saw their loved ones taking their own lives 15, 20 days back, 1 month back, and the reasons are largely the same. Farmers are not these, in this case, in fact, in Vidarbha region, in the part where I visited, a lot of farmers grow onion, grow cotton and soybean. My apologies, cotton and soybean are the two crops that are grown there. And the reasons for these suicide, when you speak to family members who are, of course, shattered, is the fact that debt was piling up, stress, you couldn't pay off the debt, you're not getting MSPs, you're not getting the right price for your crop, you end up, and whatever little you get is not sufficient to really feed your family. That is a story that, of course, our viewers can watch on our channel, where we spoke to three such families in different parts of Amravati district. Sujit, farmer suicide, you have done a lot of editorials on that, and yes, it's a subject that is saddening, but for a lot of urban audience especially, it is nothing more than just a figure or just another headline that comes up. For someone like you who's seen agriculture very closely, how severe is the problem, and b, how big is this issue in this election time, according to you, Sujit?
See, farmer suicide is a massive problem. Uh, Farmer distress is a massive problem. And this problem exists throughout the country. And the unfortunate part is that no government, no government, regardless whichever political party, no government is doing anything concrete for these farmers. So there's no plan for these farmers. There's no plan that can tell you that in the next 5 years things will be better, or these farmers will progress. Definitely not. Bharatiya Janata Party also is nothing new, is no different. And to my mind, and here I may sound a little biased, to my mind, they have been the worst as far as agriculture and farmers are concerned. So that's point number one. Point number two, you see, as far as farm workers are concerned, it's not freebies that they require. So we got it all wrong. You see, it's not loan waiver that they require. It is not 1,500 rupees per person that you give them a donation that they require. That is not what they require. They require vocation. They require an alternative job. If their farm doesn't work, they require an alternative job. So 5-member family, 2 people could go and do say something else, and 3 people could farm. That is what will actually make a difference to farmers. So those plans are never made. Number one. Number two, all this infrastructure, who gets to do, who does these infrastructures? They're all people from city who go to rural areas and executes these infrastructure. The locals don't even get a chance to even see what's happening around them. They are not involved. It is the large companies, it is the huge companies, the huge conglomerates that come and do these infrastructure, where a rural labor is not even involved. So how is it going to percolate to rural India? So what is infrastructure? How is that going to help? Number two. Number three, finally, is, the point is, somewhere down the line, I think we've been conning our farmers. To be very honest with you, we've been conning our farmers because we've been giving them carrots, and unfortunately, our farmers, gets enamored by some of them, and they vote. And end of the day, in 2 to 3 months after the new political party comes into power, gone. So that's the situation currently. And just imagine, to prove my last point, to prove what I say is correct is, which other country have you seen farmer suicide? Have you seen farmer suicide? Have you heard about farmer suicide in Pakistan? Have you heard about farmer suicide in Nepal? Have you heard about farmer suicide in Bangladesh? Have you heard about farmer suicide in Sri Lanka with so many crops, so many land going waste because of their organic venture? Have you heard about a farmer suicide in Sri Lanka? Why only farmer suicide in India and that to Maharashtra? That means there's something that we are doing wrong, which we are not correcting. And that's the point I would make, Shubham.
Absolutely, political apathy was one of the recurring topics that came up. All the three families I spoke to, and they've said it in their statements and their bites that they've given to me, is that your MLA, the local MLA in my constituency, I could just see him or her passing by. One of them just bothered to stop, held my hand, and left. There was nothing more to add, no support from the MLA, the sitting MLA, or the MLA contesting against that particular person. What they're only bothered are about the votes. But when it comes to election time, they will. In fact, the first family that I spoke to in Amravati, they said that it was just, I don't know, and I have taken a visual of that. I was speaking to that family there. This is the family that I was speaking to in Karajgaon village, about 40 kilometers away from Amravati city. When I was talking to them, and once I finished recording this conversation with them, a tempo of the Bharatiya Janata Party candidate just passed their house, and with microphone saying "Kamal ka button dabao, Kamal ka button dabao." And that's when the son who lost his father 1 month back said, "Look, this is just what I told you. They only come here for votes, and they don't bother to check what is our actual condition." So that's really the sad part, especially in interior parts. Sorry, ma'am, you
No,
wanted
no,
to
no.
say something?
No. What you described is absolutely correct. And in fact, if you remember, it's just not about this year, Shubham. If you remember, and I'm sure Sujit would agree, in the last 10 years, if you look at Modi government's record, we've seen so many farmer suicides. Have you ever seen even a single BJP leader or a BJP MP, or for that matter, even Prime Minister Modi going and visiting any farmers and meeting that farmer's family? Do we ever remember a visual like that? At least I cannot think of. Maybe because of I don't think that I don't remember having seen a single visual of any BJP leader going and meeting those affected families. I don't think so. The opposition leaders, Rahul Gandhi has done it, Priyanka Gandhi has done it, and the opposition leaders do that. But how many times have we heard Modi, or for that matter, even any BJP leader talking with some empathy to these farmer families? And then they expect those farmers who are on hungry bellies, who have loans on their heads, the BJP wants them to believe the katoge batoge narrative. एक है तो safe है. How would that farmer really believe that narrative? Is he going to vote on that basis? हम एक है तो safe है. What does that farmer have to really do? So it's rural apathy, of course, is very, very entrenched. And as far as the politicians are concerned, I don't think they have done justice to any of the farmer families. Prime Minister Modi may be talking tall by saying that, oh, we give them Kisan Samman Nidhis, we've made soil health cards, but all that is of no good unless you really address the genuine problems of those families. So you're completely right that and as you described, that there's a family which is in tears, and the BJP tempo passes by and bothers never to meet them. So this is what the politics is of today towards the farmers. And farmers is a huge vote bank, and I just hope that the farmers can come out, they can vote for some change. That's what is really something which people will be really looking forward.
But ma'am, I partially agree with the second half of the answer. You, in the first half, you talked about Rahul Gandhi visiting farmers, but then isn't all of this just part of optics? In fact, for example, the constituency where Karajgaon falls under, it's the Tiusa constituency of Maharashtra, where the sitting MLA is Advocate Yashomati Thakur of the Congress party. She is facing, she's been an MLA multiple times, and she's the MLA from Tiusa. Now, even if, say, a Rahul Gandhi comes, visits a family, you'll see, of course, a picture and a video, well edited video being put out. how much of that actually percolates to that farmer's family? Because when I speak to them, even off camera, they said that, wo aayenge, photo khichayenge, and then they're done, because 2 lakh rupees was the debt that his father was stressing about, the fact that he couldn't repay 2 lakh rupees. Isn't this a problem across political parties and
No,
politicians?
absolutely.
And
Absolutely, because there is no solid planning of policies as far as the rural distress is concerned. Farmers' genuine problems. How many politicians are really aware of what the genuine problems of the farmers are? They may speak about giving them tools. They may speak about giving them, all sorts of facilities. But how much of it is really reaching those affected families? So you're right that it all gets reduced to optics. But then the opposition also, I'm sure when it comes to power, they will not have a very solid plan to address these problems. Look at the farmers in Australia. Look at the farmers in other countries, how they are doing well. But why can't we do it? Don't we have those kind of resources? It's just that it's not the lack of resources, it's a lack of policy planning as far as the rural distress is concerned, and no government, you're right, that has bothered to address. If you remember the UPA government, they did provide loan waivers that came as a temporary relief to a lot of farmers, so which is why they got voted during the second term. But the times are changing fast, and the needs of the farmers are also changing fast. Now the farmer of today needs a lot of options. If he has a small land holding, if the agriculture is not giving him profit, he needs to know that what are the options which the government is providing to his family. If a farmer's son is not doing well, what are the options before him? I mean, he is grappling with price rise, unemployment. He doesn't get employed anywhere. So all those are genuine problems, and the government is just not thinking about on those lines. So
the,
there's a complete lack of policy planning, I guess.
Right. Ma'am, I want to get your final word on one, the biggest X factor, I think, in this election. That's the Ladki Bahin Yojana, the 1,500 rupees in bank account. Mahayuti thinks it's a game changer. Eknath Shinde, the chief minister, tells me it's a game changer. Blockbuster hit at 2.5 crore women of Maharashtra have gotten it. 1,500 rupees in the bank account of 2.5 crore women. Do you think that will be a game changer come the 23rd of November?
If you allow me to give me my point of view, and I wouldn't want to speak as a journalist here on this particular thing, because I was traveling to Madhya Pradesh last year when elections were there, and we did report that that time it appeared that Congress was winning, and the Ladki Behan Yojana, I mean the Ladli Behan Yojana in Madhya Pradesh didn't seem to be working well. But then at the end of the day, it worked well over there. But if you look, and this has become a replicating model now for BJP in every state. But what does it do to a woman? We, as a woman, I feel that these kind of doles given by the government doesn't really help a woman to evolve. It puts the woman under obligation. It puts the woman under force that, okay, you've got so much of money from a government, and they are buying the mindset of the women for 1,500 to 2,000 rupees. This is just not done. And as a woman, I feel that the women of the country need to realize that these 1,500 rupees or 2,000 rupees are not going to do good to the woman and neither to her family. They need to realize that. And if this awareness is spread on that line, I think that will be much better. This is just buying the votes of the women, because women are a huge vote bank, and they know that, and especially how does one spread awareness? That's really going to be a challenge. But the women in the rural areas, of course, when there's so much of poverty, they wouldn't realize this. But who's going to make them realize that they are buying the mindset of the women for these 1,500 to 2,000 rupees, and they go and vote for a party which is spreading so much of hatred, which is trying to divide the society. I mean, the women have stopped thinking as to what this kind of a voting would do to the society in the long run. So I'm really not happy. If you personally ask me, my opinion, it may be a game changer for the BJP, but it's really demolishing the mindset of the women, and the women won't go too far with these kind of doles. That's what my view, Shubham, is on this.
Absolutely. And even when Shashank and I visited different parts of Maharashtra, we spoke to women on what they really think of this. And there were contrasting opinions. On one hand, there was a section of women who said that, भाई ने 1500 रुपए दिए हैं तो वोट तो उन्हीं को देंगे. But at the same time, there was a section of women who said that, look, you're giving me 1,500 rupees in my bank account. That's okay. That's empowering. But at the same time, cylinder prices, essential commodities, all prices are going through the roof. So it's almost like you're giving me money from one hand and you're taking it away from the other, because essential commodities are expensive. So I think that will be one of the factors to watch out for in this election. What impact really does this Yojana have? And of course, there's been the whole credit war. Whose Ladki Bahin Yojana is this? Is this CM? Are there the two deputy CM and all of this? But Neeru ma'am, thank you so much for taking out the time, joining this call. It was lovely having you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Neeru.
Yes.
Bye,
Thank you
Sujit.
so much,
Bye.
ma'am.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks.
Bye.
Sujit, I want your before I go to Shashank, I think I want you to come in on this. Ladki Bahin, so much has been talked about, so much has been advertised. Whose Ladki Bahin is it? Firstly,
First of all, I think it's going to make a difference. I think it will help the Mahayuti. There is no doubt about it. Number one. Number two is just think about it. Shubham, you just half an hour back showed a figure here where you were talking about around 4,000 odd candidates. In fact, 4,500 or 4,400 candidates contesting for election this year. And only 300 odds were women, which means not even 10% of the candidates contesting for contesting for the election are women. Okay, so this is what a political party feels for their pyari bahina. Okay, that's number one. Number two, you see, as far as voters are concerned, it is 5 crores and 4.7 crores male-female ratio. So it's almost 50-50, but the candidature hardly 10%. That talks volume about our belief in our pyari bahina. That talks volumes about our belief in empowering our women. That talks volume about what we as a society and our politicians feel about women. That's point number one. Point number two is, you see, what happens is freebie culture is spreading in this country. I've been speaking about this in my editorial. Freebie culture is spreading, and it is deep rooted now, because you see, there was this communalism that still happens, not that it doesn't, it still exists, and still exists quite severely. But communalism, at least there were parties who were secular. So there was communist party versus a secular party. So there was an option. You see, freebie is one disease which has no options. Every political party today is talking about freebie, regardless what it does to the treasury, regardless what it does to the future of the youth of that state, that country. You see, we need to understand it will spoil our country's future. It will spoil the future of the youth of this country, because you spending your from your exchequer, you're emptying your treasury. What is going to happen to health? What's going to happen to education? What is going to happen to the markets that you want to create, the opportunities that you want to create for your youth? Today you have some money, tomorrow you may not. So that's the problem.
In fact, yeah, the Ladki Bahin Yojana is expected to cost the Maharashtra treasury about more than upwards of 40,000 crore rupees annually.
Correct.
And
Correct.
For a state that a lot of economists have highlighted, that keep an eye on the debt of the state, that is slowly, that graph is also going up. And with that, if you expect the state to fund, and if this wasn't enough, the manifestos, the Mahayuti says this 1,500 will make it 2,100. Mahavikas Agadi says we'll make it 3,000. So that picture is going on. Shashank, before I come to you on Ladki Bahin, Dainik Bhaskar has just put out their party-wise breakup for the seats. Mahayuti, like I said, 125 to 140 is what Dainik Bhaskar is projecting. 80 to 90 seats for the Bharatiya Janata Party.
Do we have a graphic? For that, Shubham?
We'll play that up. We'll play that up shortly. Yeah. The producers will line it up. Shiv Sena of Eknath Shinde is projected to get 30 to 35 seats, and NCP of Ajit Pawar 15 to 20. For the Mahavikas Agadi, Congress is expected to get 58 to 60 seats, NCP Sharad Pawar 50 to 55, and Shiv Sena of Uddhav Thackeray 30 to 35. We'll play that graphic on the screen so that it will be clear to look at which party stands where. Shashank, we've been listening to us patiently with a zen-like look on your face. Tell us the Ladki Bahin impact. Firstly, the question that I asked Sujit, whose Ladki Bahin is it? Who is getting the credit? What is the sentiment among women voters on ground?
I think except for Baramati, other parts of Maharashtra, I think it has clearly gone with Eknath Shinde because it is the Mukhyamantri Majhi Ladki Bahin Yojana under the leadership of Chief Minister Eknath Shinde. Although Finance Minister is Ajit Pawar and the Ministry of Women and Child Development comes under NCP, that is Aditi Thackeray, still it is like Mukhyamantri ne paise diye and Eknath Shinde ne paise diye. So the anger of the people that he was facing and all the problems, these problems were actually surpassed because of, to some extent, I would say, for the swing voters. And also this is an attempt to cut across going religious lines. Like even Muslim women, while I was speaking to them, they have said that they have usually benefited. So this is something which actually takes women as a different category of voters. So although there might be community that might not, most people might not vote for the BJP or the Mahayuti alliance, but because the women are direct beneficiaries, it's their own money. They can plan accordingly. 1,500 rupees is not a huge amount, but for those who it matters, it matters. And other than that, small businesses like ferry wala, tapri wala, these people have used it in their businesses, so to increase their capital. So that is something which has helped. So that is what I have seen. But besides this, there are some regions like I clearly remember in Hadapsar, one of the slums I visited. They said that we do not want 1,500 rupees. We want water because the basic amenity is water that we are getting once in 3 days. So what is the point? And they are comparing that the oil prices, the milk prices are increasing because of Ladki Bahin. They're blaming inflation and rising prices for Ladki Bahin.
Right. And I agree with you. The fact that for starters, this is the scheme that has been largely associated with Chief Minister Eknath Shinde, one of the many PR campaign that is being run by the Shiv Sena on online platforms is projecting Eknath Shinde as the Ladka Bhai. He's the Ladka Bhau, and women across the state almost not almost, I think, in a bid to boost his popularity, especially among women voters. Because I think one of the many things that the Shiv Sena was aiming to do in this assembly election is carve a vote base of its own, something that they can call. And I think the wider attempt with that was there. And of course, the nitty gritty that Shashank mentioned, that the finance minister was Ajit Pawar, so technically he sanctioned the money, and Aditi Thackeray, she's the Women and Child Development Minister of the NCP. So where that credit, well, I think that was also the response that I got largely, that the scheme across the state of Maharashtra, in the parts that I visited and spoke to women voters, associated the scheme with Eknath Shinde. And the two. Okay, there we have the Dainik Bhaskar numbers. This is Dainik Bhaskar numbers that I just mentioned a couple of minutes back. BJP 80 to 90. Shiv Sena Shinde faction 30 to 35, NCP Ajit Pawar faction 15 to 20, Mahavikas Aghadi, that is projected as per Dainik Bhaskar's exit poll, is 135 to 150, and Congress 58 to 60, NCP Sharad Pawar 50 to 55, Shiv Sena Uddhav Thackeray 30 to 35. Now, if you just see in the NCP battle, as per the Dainik Bhaskar exit poll and what they are projecting, if you just look at these numbers closely, the two Shiv Senas, their figures are identical. The BJP has come down. The two Shiv Senas are identical in terms of the number of seats that Dainik Bhaskar is projecting in their exit polls. And in the NCP's case, it is Sharad Pawar, as per the Dainik Bhaskar exit poll, that shows that Sharad Pawar is a clear winner out of the two NCP factions. Very interesting data. Of course, we will bring you the final results on the 23rd of November, once the votes are counted, and the Sena versus Sena and the NCP battle, NCP versus NCP battle. Sujit, if I had to ask you, just a question at the top of my mind, which is the battle that you are the result of which you are more looking forward to see? Of course, there's the big result, the final numbers, and what happens after that, which we will come to. But out of the NCP versus NCP battle compared to the Sena versus Sena battle, if you look at both these splits, they've had a story of its own. The Shinde split looks a lot more bitter, acrimonious, and no, it looks like at the moment that there's no going back. In Ajit Pawar's case, I think for the longest time everyone was left scratching their heads that whether the split is real in the first place or not. There's still questions on that. How do you see these two splits? What, because they happened just 1 year apart. How do you see the battle of the two Shiv Senas and the NCP, Sujit?
What your question is? What am I looking forward to? Which
Out of
battle
the
am I really looking forward to?
which battle? Yes,
If you
because
ask me, Shiv Sena to Shiv Sena, it is Milind Deora versus Aditya Thackeray. That I'm really looking forward to see who wins. Number one. Number two is Amit Thackeray. Though it's not Shiv Sena versus Shiv Sena, it is Shiv Sena versus. In fact, Shinde Shiv Sena versus MNS. That is Amit Thackeray versus
Sada Sarvankar, Sada
Sada
Sarvankar,
Sarvankar.
and
Absolutely,
Mahesh
Sada
Rawat
Sarvankar.
of Uddhav Thackeray. It's a three-way fight.
Absolutely. So that's what I'm looking forward to. And the third is, of course, Baramati. Pawar versus Pawar. Ajit Pawar versus Yugraj Pawar. I want to believe Ajit Pawar will win, but still, it will be a very interesting fight to observe and to comment on. Can I ask the production team to get back to that figure,
Dainik
the
Bhaskar.
breakup?
Okay.
Okay,
We'll take
okay,
this down. We'll go to the
okay.
Dainik Bhaskar if we can.
Just for a
Yes,
second.
yes,
Just for a
there
second.
is.
What I want
Yes.
to tell the audience and Shubham, what is interesting
Yeah.
here is, if you look at these figures, who is making the difference? It is technically the NCP Sharad Pawar that is making the difference. You see, that 50 to 55 is what is making Mahavikas Aghadi look better than Mahayuti in this particular chart. Because, like you rightly said, Shiv Sena Shinde, Shiv Sena Uddhav is more or less the same. Numbers are more or less the same. NCP Ajit Pawar has 15 to 20 is what was expected, and that's where it stands. Bharatiya Janata Party, of course, has come down from where it was 122 in 2014, 105 in 2019, and now, if this is true, 80 to 90, assuming, like I said, take this with a pinch of salt. I don't think these numbers are anything close to what it is, but assuming that these are the numbers that we have to work with, then the
Sharad Pawar,
Bharatiya
NCP.
Janata Party has come down from 105 to 90. But it is Sharad Pawar who's making the difference for Mahavikas Aghadi, and it is Sharad Pawar who is finally ensuring that Mahavikas Aghadi, if these numbers are true, then Mahavikas Aghadi makes it to the government. This is number one. Now you were showing the other
Yes,
ones.
one of the
Sorry,
things that
Shubham.
will decide this election, Pawar Niti. We keep an eye on what
You bet.
happens
You bet.
on 23rd and after the 23rd, to which I will come to. But let's first
We
show
will
the
talk
poll
about
of
that.
polls, the agencies that we've sort of collated for our audience. There you can see Matrix Mahayuti is projecting Matrix is projecting 150 to 170 for Mahayuti and 110 to 130 for MVA. So an edge to Mahayuti. Remember, 288 is the total assembly size of Maharashtra, and 145 is the magic figure. So keep that in mind. 150 to 170 for Mahayuti. People Pulse is saying 175 to 195 for Mahayuti. I think out of all the five that we have on the screen, that's the biggest range that they're saying. 175 to 195 runaway winner is what People Pulse is projecting for Mahayuti. And MVA.
I would outright reject this People Pulse numbers,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Shubham, because these numbers do
85.
not look right. We've been on ground; this numbers just doesn't look right.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
outright, I would reject these numbers.
Lok Shahi, I want to focus on Lok Shahi. Have we taken off? Can we just place Lok Shahi graphic? 128 to 142 and 125 to 140. Lok Shahi's
Interesting.
exit poll predicting a hung assembly. 145. Keep that figure in your mind, viewers. 145 is the magic figure. Dainik Bhaskar, like we showed, 125 to 140 for Mahayuti, and 135 to 150 for the MVA. And PMark is, of course, showing an edge to Mahayuti versus the Mahavikas Aghadi. So Lok Shahi is showing an interesting number, 128 to 140. Yes, Sujit.
Can this remain on the screen? Because I want to make a couple of points here. You see, assuming Lok Shahi, let's take Lok Shahi as a case study. Okay, 128 to 142, 125 to 140. Okay, If this is the case, then in this case, the chances of Mahayuti, see, Mahayuti then trying to score over, trying to form the government is higher. But the problem then is the most important person for Mahayuti then would be Ajit Pawar. Ajit Pawar, the person who everybody shunned in Mahayuti, Eknath Shinde and his party shunned, RSS shunned. It is this, if the scenario is this, then it will be Ajit Pawar playing the kingmaker. It will be Ajit Pawar who will be finally deciding. And it will be Ajit Pawar's association with Mahayuti that will finally ensure that they form the government. So this Lok Shahi is, if this number were to be believed, and if this is what's going to happen, then Ajit Pawar is going to play a very, very vital role in Mahayuti. Same is the case with actually even Dainik Bhaskar. But then, assuming that Maha Vikas Aghadi gets around 150, then they form the government. They don't. Assuming they form the government. We will talk about the forming the government a little later. But then they form the government. But you see, if the story is what Lok Shahi says it is, then it is Ajit Pawar who is going to play a very vital role. And let me tell you, Ajit Pawar has been actually shunned by the Mahayuti through and through. And now it would be his chance or his stage to kind of demand what he wants. And let us see what Ajit Pawar demands, because Ajit Pawar is a very shrewd politician. And he is not just going to take this lying down. He is not going to take this kind of situation. He is going to make absolute use of the situation. He is an opportunist and he will make absolute use of the situation. So if something like 128, 142 for Mahayuti, it will be the most interesting thing to watch, Shubham. That's what I wanted to say. Thanks. Go ahead.
Shashank, when you visit Baramati and
just wanted to add that Nawab Malik, who the BJP had opposed his candidature, NCP, Ajit Pawar had stood by him. He, speaking to HW News, had said that Ajit Pawar, come 23rd of November, and Ajit Pawar will be the kingmaker, and he will be the Chandrababu Naidu of Maharashtra. So he had said that Maharashtra needs someone who would keep in control the establishment.
Even I think if the results turn out to be a close fight, even an independent who manages to win a seat will walk around with a lot of, chord as
yes. If this is the numbers, Shubham, absolutely correct. If this is the number, then the call would be taken by Ajit Pawar. There is no way a Bharatiya Janata Party can say that they have won the battle. There is no way that even an Eknath Shinde can say that he's won the battle. Finally, it will be Ajit Pawar that will dominate. It will be his victory. And mind you, this government will not be stable if the government is formed like that. Now, yeah, sorry.
And I think if you look at since 95, Sujit, correct me if I'm wrong, since 1995 till 2024, Maharashtra hasn't seen a single party rule, one party ruling the roost. We've seen an alliance, BJP, Shiv Sena, Congress UPA, Congress
Correct.
NCP, then
Correct.
BJP, even at its peak with the Modi wave in 2014, when Mr. Modi just burst onto the scene there as Prime Minister candidate. Even
Correct.
with that, despite that, the BJP, though it was and it is still the single largest party, they couldn't form the government on their own. So that
there were 22 less.
Yes, and they needed the support, and of course, the Pawar Niti swung into action. It was the outside support that was given. It'll be very interesting to see again if the results turn out to be as close. Because remember, a Vidhan Sabha election is very different to a Lok Sabha election. One Lok Sabha constituency, it's the 1:6 ratio. One Lok Sabha constituency has 6 assembly segments. When you come to Vidhan Sabha, the constituencies, yes, roughly. The constituency is much smaller. The average population or the average voter size in each Vidhan Sabha constituency is anywhere between 2.5 lakhs to 6.5, 7 lakhs voters. The more candidates, which is what we've seen, rebels, independents, worth his or her weight, even if they manage, if it's a close fight, like Mahim, for instance, that's what he mentioned, it's a three-way fight between Amit Thackeray, who's the son of MNS chief Raj Thackeray, Sada Sarvankar, who's a sitting MLA from the Eknath Shinde faction, and Mahesh Sawant of the Shiv Sena of Uddhav Sahib Thackeray. He's there. If it's a three-way fight, then when the vote splits and the winning margins then become thin, that is where it'll be very interesting to see which way even one vote in the Lok Sabha famously we saw in Mumbai Northwest. Amol Kirtikar of the Shiv Sena of Uddhav Thackeray lost by 48 votes. Am I right, Shashank? 48 votes.
48 votes, yes.
48 votes he lost to Ravindra Vaikar of the Shiv Sena of Eknath Shinde. One of the stunning upsets in recent Lok Sabha elections. 48 votes. So each vote counts. And it'll be very interesting to see how that plays out. Shashank, what I want to understand from you is the MNS factor. Raj Thackeray gave his bin shart patimba or unconditional support to the NDA in the Lok Sabha election. And this time around, he's gone ahead, not aligned, at least officially on paper, not aligned with either of the two blocs. And he fielded his own candidates, particularly in Mumbai and Thane. When you speak to voters, when you speak to people around, how big or small do you think that MNS factor was palpable on ground this time around?
Shubham, one thing is clear that there was some kind of understanding which the BJP and MNS could not come, that understanding could not come to conclusion. That is why the Mahim seat was not left for Amit Thackeray. Because during the Lok Sabha elections, he was promised that one seat would be left. And actually, BJP wanted to offer him Shivri seat. The Shivdi seat they wanted to, where now Bala Nangaonkar is contesting against the whip of Shiv Sena UBT, Ajay Chaudhary. So that one seat they were ready to leave. But the Mahim seat, Shinde also stood by. But BJP also did not put in a lot of efforts. There were leaders like Ashish Shelar who are openly saying that they wanted to back Amit Thackeray. But the BJP also was not very much willing to support that. So MNS is definitely going to be a vote cutter party, but except for that one Shivri seat, I don't think much of a difference will make. Mahim, I think Sada Sarvankar versus Mahesh Sawant would be something which one has to look forward to, because another reason to that is Raj Thackeray is someone who has changed his stance 4 times in 5 years. So that is a major issue. So first he is giving support to Modi, then again Laureto video when he was at his peak. After that, again he changed the color of his logo.
Party flag, the logo and the party everything. Flag, yes.
Yeah, and
right
now
after
again,
the ED raid, right after that ED inquiry, when he was called by the ED, he came back and the color of his flag changed. Yes.
It became saffron. I think it was green, orange, and white.
No, it was a multicolor flag.
Multicolor flag, then it became just Bhagwa orange after, correct. Like you pointed out, after the whole.
Even now also, if you hear his speeches, sometimes he's criticizing BJP, sometimes he's lauding Modi. He says that the things I like, I will appreciate. The thing that's not how an election is fought. You have to, if you are opposing an ideology, you have to oppose it vehemently, irrespective of, because the voter gets confused. Today, the MNS voter is confused that what MNS stands for. Sometimes you speak about Marathi pride and Marathi first, and then there are projects like Tata Airbus and Bulk Drug Park which are going out of the state, and you are not speaking about that. That's not fair. So the cadre itself is confused. And as far as Bala Nangaonkar is concerned, Bala Nangaonkar is someone who has his clout of his own. It is not because of the party it's per se.
Right. Shashank, that's called brand proposition. Brand needs a proposition. When the brand doesn't have a proposition, then a consumer will not know why you are buying that brand. So that's what you just spoke about. So good. Yeah. Sorry, Shubham.
Absolutely. Because if you see Shiv Sena UBT is Hindutva, they are saying that we are Prabodhankar Hindutva. So Uddhav is very clear what his ideology is. Congress is very clear that we are the secular ideology. Sharad Pawar is very clear, we are Shahu Phule Ambedkar. Even NCP, whenever there was a statement made by BJP leaders, he condemned it. He understood that it has harmed him high time in the Lok Sabha elections. Whenever, even Batoge to Katoge, a chief minister of the Bharatiya Janata Party came in and said Batoge to Katoge, Ajit Pawar said that we are not supporting this statement. So MNS is something, today he will say something, tomorrow he will say something. That's not how politics works.
Absolutely. Well said. Very well said. And I think that will be an interesting facet to watch out for, particularly in Mumbai and Thane. In fact, let me tell you this to our viewers: we stay in and around the city of Mumbai, and we speak to a lot of people, and we also observe as to what is really happening. There was a lot of banner bazi, as they say, a lot of hoardings of the Maharashtra Nirman Sena. In fact, I traveled to Sambhaji Nagar as well, Chhatrapati Sambhaji Nagar. And there too you see a lot of banner bazi of the MNS. Just a photo of Raj Thackeray, no candidate, nothing, just Raj Thackeray, the rail engine, which is the symbol, the party symbol of the MNS, and they have one catchy line attached to it, be it the toll, which the toll issue that which Mr. Eknath Shinde as chief minister decided to remove toll altogether from the Mumbai entry and exit points. So when you talk of brand proposition, when you talk of what a brand has to offer to its voters, what state of mind does a voter for like a party like the MNS have? Like Shashank very rightly said, they're confused, but you still say there's a section that will say no, hum jaake Raj Thackeray ko vote kare. So what really drives that brand? For a brand that keeps changing, our color was green, orange and white, we'll change it to orange altogether, we'll adopt the Hindutva stance, and then we'll take a little bit of credit of this, a little bit of that. Does it find a currency in any form when a voter goes to vote, Sujit?
See, I'll tell you again, like I said, politics is supposed to be what it is today is a different issue. But what politics is supposed to be an alliance of ideology. So if I'm going to vote for a particular political party, the first thing I would see is whether that political party stands for secularism. Because I believe in secularism. That's my ideology, and that's what I will look at in my political party. Then, of course, I will look at whether they look after my health, my education, my future, my income, so on and so forth. So this is how voting happens. Now, what really happens is you normally don't have a political party that says, I will take care of health, I will take care of infrastructure, that wo nahi hota hai. So what you normally do is the proposition factor is that single factor that political party promises you. The single factor. For instance, Bharatiya Janata Party single factor proposition was Hindutva. They promised Hindutva and they got whoever believed in Hindutva, whoever wanted Hindutva, and they were in the majority at that point in time, and they got the vote. They spoke Hindutva in 2019, they got the vote. They spoke Hindutva in 2024, they got the vote, but not to the extent what they got in 2019 and what they got in 2014. So the fact remains that a proposition is a single-minded offer, a single brand offer or a single offer that a party puts in front of its voters. And that single offer is what a voter either rejects or accepts. So yes, very well spoken, Shashank, that somewhere down the line, I think, yes, parties which has not had a single focused proposition, those parties never made it and are not making great inroads into the seat race. But yeah, I mean, a lot of parties today are not interested in seats. They are interested in disruption. They're interested in statistics, in math, in the electoral math. So yeah, I mean, they're doing what they're supposed to do. So that's also a fact. So
Right.
Yes, that's
In fact,
Even
as
even
we, as
Vanchit
we
Vanchit Bahujan
yeah,
Aghadi is another player. Even Vanchit Bahujan Aghadi, nobody is talking about Prakash Ambedkar. The entire Maharashtra, every politician seeks votes in the name of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, but his own grandson, nobody is listening to. He wanted to go with India Alliance during Lok Sabha elections. When India Alliance called him, he is asking for unreasonable amount of seats.
See, I'll tell you something. The reason why, again, the proposition and the person. See, the proposition of Vanchit Bahujan Agadi was to talk about the Dalits, to talk about the downtrodden. That is what their proposition was. But finally, what was he offering? And finally, I think that particular party got more into math juggling, electoral math juggling, than actually focusing on their voters. So, and same is the case with Bahujan Party.
Samaj.
Bahujan Samaj Party. Same case with Mahayuti. So somewhere down the line, see what a voter understands is proposition, what a voter buys is proposition, what a voter offers you, the voter offers you votes on based on your proposition. And secondly, you see when you play the math game, the voter understands it. Like you rightly said, Prakash Ambedkar played the math game. He was there to disrupt. He asked for numbers which were ridiculous. So that was very clear that it was his intention were never to form an alliance. His intention was just to disrupt. It was very clear. And it is that the fact is a lot of politicians believe that voters do not understand. One thing what we've learned, and I think all of us will agree to that one thing what we learned is when we went to rural Maharashtra, I think the way the voter sees it, I think the voter sees it much more clearly than a lot of we urbanites see it. They see it much more clearly. And the fact is they definitely see it better than what a politician thinks they understand. So that's something that these politicians need to learn and kind of put into practice, Shubham.
Absolutely. I think that was an eye-opener for me personally when I travel across Maharashtra. You speak to rural voters and the kind of insights you get. You won't get it in a city like Mumbai, Pune, Nashik, Nagpur. You won't get it. When you go to the remotest of villages in Maharashtra and the way they speak, how they disapprove of some things like the splits and defections you saw 2.5 years, they do not approve of it. And they're absolutely vocal about it. And they're very clear on what the issues they think are and which way they are thinking. The insights they give was fascinating for me personally when I traveled across Maharashtra. But as we come to the concluding session of this live, I would just request the producers if we have any other numbers for exit polls, we'll keep it up for our viewers, Shashank and Sujit. Concluding remarks.
And if you can put that last numbers once again, please, the list that we
the
have.
Poll of polls.
If you can put
the
polls,
yeah,
not the polls. We have the polls of polls ready.
The Maharashtra one, no, I don't think we will. I'll just get
so
it checked.
If you can just put that last slide once again.
Okay. We'll put that up one by one for Maharashtra and for Jharkhand, whatever numbers we have. Okay, I think yes, there we have for Jharkhand. C voter. Yes, Jharkhand C voter says 34 for NDA and 26 for India. So a tight fight there. Mattress says 42 to 47 for NDA and 25 to 30 for India. People Pulse says 44 to 53 versus 25 to 37. Dainik Bhaskar says 37 to 40 for NDA and 36 to 39 for the India Alliance. Absolutely tight. Something like something exactly what Ms. Neelu Vyas spoke about earlier in this conversation. And PMark says 31 to 40 for NDA and 37 to 47 for the India Alliance, which is primarily Hemant Soren of the Jharkhand Mukti Morcha and the Congress. If we have a graphic for Maharashtra ready, we will play that up as well. Okay, there we have for Maharashtra. We've put together 5 agencies here, and we took our viewers through this 150 to 170. Mattress says so Mahayuti 110 to 130. People Pulse again. I think something that Sujit says these numbers look astonishingly. This figures look astonishing at the moment. 170 to 195 for Mahayuti, 85 to 112 for MVA. Take it with a pinch of salt. All these numbers, for that matter. Lok Shahi says a hung assembly. In fact, 128 to 142, 128 to 142 for Mahayuti, and 125 to 140 for the Mahavikas Aghadi. 145 is the majority mark, and Lok Shahi's exit poll says it's a hung assembly. Dainik Bhaskar says 125 to 140 for the Mahayuti and 135 to 150 for the Mahavikas Aghadi. So slight edge to the Mahavikas Aghadi. Sujit and Shashank. I think Shashank, I'll go with you
Shubham,
first.
Shubham, there is
Yeah.
one more. C voters for C voters or Access My India. My apologies. Access My India for Jharkhand. Can we show that too, please?
Okay,
Because those
we'll
numbers
load
were
that.
different.
Yeah. Yes, Access My India. We'll load Access My India. Access My India and Sea Voter, I believe, has not put up for Maharashtra at the
Maharashtra.
moment.
Yeah.
Jharkhand, Access My India has put up 81 seats. Jharkhand Assembly, NDA 17 to 27, and for NDA BJP India Alliance 49 to 59. So almost like a one-side contest is what Access My India is projecting in Jharkhand, and others 1 to 6. This is Access My India's exit polls. Pradeep Gupta, his agency has put
Can
out
can
his
can you
figures.
believe this? Can you believe this? You
Go
see,
ahead.
the flaw in this entire exercise can be seen with these numbers. You see the difference in the numbers of each agency. It's as if somebody is researching in Mars and the other is researching in Venus, and the third in Pluto and the fourth in. You see, they are not even in the same planet, and they call this research. I mean, this is how ridiculous this entire exercise is. And somebody will be right, because you see, you have all sides of the spectrum. So somebody is going to be right, and that somebody who is going to be right is going to go stand on top of the terrace and shout, saying that, listen, we said it, we got it right. And I remember people dancing, and major
Yeah.
anchors and these researchers dancing in the studio and all that. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous, because
So,
look at these numbers. I mean,
Sujit, there's on
uh,
the other part to it is, when you talk of margin of error, you talk about, okay, plus minus 5, 10. The other workaround I think that seems to have been found is range is 10 to 20 to 30, 40 seats. So
yeah,
anywhere between 120 and 150, for
हमने
instance,
बोला था,
हमने बोला
हमने
था,
बोला
he
था,
said.
हमने बोला था, and then we dance.
And then
If नहीं होएगा, then we cry. So
then we cry. Yeah.
and we cry.
So
So I mean, this is the most ridiculous exercise. We are doing this for last 2 years. So for the last 2 hours, I'm sorry,
yeah,
for the last 2 hours, we are also doing it. So with apologies to
right.
our viewers, but then
Uh,
of course it is
yes,
important that we do it, because it is
yes.
part of the entire election process. We've committed to our viewers for that, and that's what we are getting you, and that's the reason why we are getting you this. Shubham.
Right. Shashank, your quick concluding remarks before you come with your concluding remarks. Deepak says, Shashank Nair, please smile. This is not the end of the world. Okay, Shashank, you have to smile. So please
Yeah, yeah.
smile and give us your concluding remarks. What is the one big thing you're looking forward to on the 23rd of November on result day, Shashank? With a smile.
One big thing that I'm looking forward to is, like many others, is the Shiv Sena versus Shiv Sena battle. Because if Uddhav Thackeray gets more seats, then in the eye of the public, he is going to be the real Shiv Sena. Like he's always said that Supreme Court might not consider me, or neither election commission might, neither the speaker might give me the Shiv Sena name. He will be the real Shiv Sena. If Eknath Shinde then gets more number of seats, then it will be interesting to see what will happen to the Uddhav Thackeray led faction, and what will be their next plan to action. So that is one battle I am looking forward to.
Yes. So your concluding remarks. What are you looking forward to the most on the 23rd, which is result day? Just
Actual
48%
results. Actual results.
Of course, everyone is looking forward to that. Of
That's
course.
it. That's all I'm looking forward for. Actual results, and we can move. I just wanted to
Absolutely.
conclude this
Yes.
session. If you give me 3 minutes,
Yes.
that's
Sure.
all I will take. You see, I believe, this is my opinion. I believe that this entire thing won't conclude on 23rd. In fact, this entire concept of forming Maharashtra government will start on 23rd, because I believe that 23rd will also have realignments after 23rd. There are going to be realignments. There are going to be post poll alignments. There is going to be a lot of jugglery. So like what happened in 2019. So it's not that Maharashtra has not seen this before. Maharashtra has seen this before. In 2019, Shiv Sena and BJP were clear winners. But right after the election, Shiv Sena, Uddhav Thackeray went and aligned with Congress and NCP. I think that something similar will happen here. Not that Uddhav Thackeray will ever go and join BJP. That is not going to happen. But there are going to be other alignments. Other alignments purely because there are basic problems. Basic problems like Adani, the Adani Dharavi project. Sharad Pawar supports the Adani Dharavi projects. Uh, Uddhav Thackeray and Rahul Gandhi opposes it. So finally, what is Mahavikas Aghadi's stand on that? Is that going to be a breaking point? Secondly, like I said, and if you come to Mahayuti, Eknath Shinde, there was a Eknath Shinde was it was very clear that Eknath Shinde was not happy when Ajit Pawar was bought in. He was not happy with Devendra Fadnavis and Bharatiya Janata Party. Ajit Pawar was ridiculed, like I told before, ridiculed. So is that alliance going to stay intact? So I believe that there are going to be changes. 23rd will just be the beginning of that. From 23rd onwards, we will see how the government forms. So yes, I'll be looking forward for the result. But yeah, I mean, I think
if government is not formed in 72 hours, then there will be presidential rule. So that is also very interesting.
That's also very important. Correct.
Absolutely. So I think for all the resort owners, hotel owners, if Maharashtra turns out to be a close fight, they would be ready, up and ready.
Okay. All is okay.
Okay, all is okay. Resorts will be booked, full house, buses packed with MLAs. That is. We saw that in 2019, and
yes, we did.
how that picture eventually played out. It'll be interesting to see. A lot of political obituaries will be written. A lot of legacies will be made. A lot of candidates will be first-time winners, or the single Subedar, as we call it, who've been winning this seat for 20, 25 odd years. All of that and much more, not just on the 23rd, but like Sudhit said, 23rd November is just the beginning. And we here at SW News English will be here to bring you all the action, all the live action on result day, and even beyond that, depending and whichever way this Maharashtra's political battle will, whichever way it goes. So Shashank Nair and Sujit Nair, thank you so much for taking out the time and joining. It was lovely to speak to both of you, and we will see. I'll see you on the 23rd of November on result day. Thank you so much for joining. To our viewers, a big thank you firstly for tuning into this live session, and also the fact that you supported our election coverage. We asked for your help, if you could help us raise funds for our project, and so many of you did it absolutely generously and helped us raise funds so that we could travel, we could fund our travel and get you stories. And our endeavor, like I've said multiple times in the past, the endeavor has been to bring you voices from the ground, what people have to say, because the state has seen so much twists and turns, and it was an absolute delight bringing you the campaigning phase and voices from the ground in the last 20 days. So thank you so much for that. And now over to the result date, 23rd of November. HW News English will start its coverage at 8 a.m. In the morning. We'll be up and running, bringing you the leads, the trails, the results, and all the action that will happen on the 23rd of November. And like I said, beyond it, because by the looks of it, at this point, the picture is far from over. And it'll be very interesting to see how Maharashtra and Jharkhand as well. Let's not forget Jharkhand, how both these states will play out, because whichever way the results go, rest assured, a lot of political analysts have pointed out that in one way or the other, this will have a bearing on the national politics of India. So 23rd of November, 8 a.m. is when we'll be up and running, bringing you the live results on HW News English on our YouTube channel. So do subscribe to our channel, press the bell icon so that you're notified once we are live. And thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you on the 23rd of November. This is Shubham Chohan signing off. Good night.